On the wall of a tomb in the dry hills above the Valley of the Kings, there is a painting most visitors walk straight past. It sits in the tomb of a man named Rekhmire, a vizier who served the pharaoh Thutmose III, cut into the rock at Sheikh Abd el-Qurna more than 3,400 years ago. The Egyptologists catalog it as Theban Tomb 100. In the painting, a craftsman sits with a strange tool in his hands. A long shaft, a forked tip, a heavy stone lashed to the top to press it down. He is drilling into solid stone. I want to be careful here, because I know how this sounds. That small painting is one of the only times the ancient Egyptians ever showed us, in their own hand, how they worked hard stone. And the deeper I went, the more one question would not let go of me. Because the same people who painted that simple drill also left tunnels under the desert packed with granite boxes weighing 70 tons, finished to a flatness we can barely hold today. The relief tells us what machine they used. The trouble is that the machine in the relief should not be able to make what we find underground. The mainstream has an answer. They just stop showing their work at the exact moment it gets interesting. If you have ever stood in front of something ancient and felt that quiet itch that the official story is missing a piece, subscribe before we go any further. Because what we are about to put side by side is real. It is catalogued, and almost nobody connects the two halves of it. Start with the civilization itself, because nothing later makes sense until you accept how strange it already is. The Egyptians shaped granite, diorite, and basalt. These are among the hardest stones on the planet. Diorite will turn the edge of a modern steel chisel. And yet the tools we find in the archaeological record are copper and later bronze. Both are soft. You can scratch copper with a coin. With that soft metal, somehow, they hollowed bowls thinner than a coffee cup, raised polished statues taller than a house, and carved sarcophagi from single blocks. No iron tools in the early record. No steel, no machines anyone has dug up. Just copper, sand, stone, and time. Hold that frame, everything hangs on it. Now look again at the drill in Rekhmire's tomb, because this is the machine, and we should be fair to it. The mainstream reading is straightforward. The forked shaft grips a cutting bit at the bottom. The stone weight at the top presses the bit into the work. The craftsman supplies the spin with his hands, back and forth. It is, in effect, a hand-powered boring bar. And here is a detail that gets glossed over. With that weighted shaft turning a bit under steady downward pressure, the Egyptians were performing what is essentially a lathe operation, thousands of years before anyone is supposed to have invented the lathe. The tool on the wall is cleverer than it first looks. And this is not a one-off picture. The same drill shows up as a hieroglyph in a tomb from the 3rd dynasty at Saqqara. It appears in carved relief in the 5th dynasty tomb of Tai, and again in the 6th dynasty tomb of Meroruka. The very sign the Egyptians used to write the word for a maker of stone vessels is this drill. For more than 2,000 years of their history, this machine is on the wall, in plain sight. The record could not be clearer about what they used. The argument has never really been about the drill. It has always been about what that drill could actually do. So far, there is no mystery at all. The mystery starts with a man who measured. In the year 1883, Flinders Petrie published a book called The Pyramids and Temples of Gizeh. Understand who Petrie was. He is not a fringe figure. He is the father of scientific archaeology in Egypt, the man who made the field rigorous, obsessive about measurement. Near the Giza Plateau, he picked up a small piece of pink granite. It was a core. When you drill a hole with a hollow tube, the waste plug left in the middle comes out as a cylinder. That is a core. Today it sits under glass in the Petrie Museum in London, labeled plainly as core number 7. And around that core runs a groove. Petrie studied it the way Petrie studied everything, with calipers and a cool head. He concluded that the drill had sunk into the granite at 1/100th of an inch with every single turn. Sit with that, not soft limestone. Granite, 1/100th of an inch per revolution. He found the cut so clean and so quick that soft copper scraping with sand did not, to him, fully explain it. He never claimed lasers. He never claimed visitors from anywhere. He simply reported, as a careful man, that the marks suggested more force and more control than the obvious tools should give. And core number 7 was not alone. Inside the great granite coffer in the king's chamber, Petrie found places where a tube drill had run too deep into the side, an honest workshop error frozen in stone. He logged a drill hole in diorite, one of the hardest stones the Egyptians touched, and noted the strange depth and regularity of the grooves cut into it. Out at El Bersha, at a latitude he recorded as 27 degrees and 42 minutes north, he found a whole platform of limestone bedrock, dressed flat, with tube drills around 18 inches across, the circular grooves crossing each other where the cutting overlapped. This was real tube drilling, at scale, and he could see the tracks of it everywhere he looked. The question was never whether they drilled. The question was how the soft tools survived the job. Now we go underground, because this is where the simple story starts to strain. Northwest of the step pyramid of Djoser, under the sand at Saqqara, there is a tunnel. In the year 1850, the French archaeologist Auguste Mariette followed a half-buried line of sphinxes and dug down into a series of galleries cut from the limestone bedrock. He gave the place a name that is stuck, the Serapeum, and in chambers carved off the main corridor, he found them. Giant boxes, more than 20 of them, each one a single block of stone, granite or harder diorite, each one with its lid weighing somewhere between 70 and 100 tons. The lid of each box was cut from the very same block as the box itself. Picture the logistics for 1 second. The granite was quarried at Aswan, roughly 800 kilometers to the south. It was floated down the Nile, dragged across the desert, and then lowered into narrow tunnels where the walls clear the boxes by as little as 2 feet. And these are not rough chests. The inside walls are flat. The corners run close to 90 degrees. The surfaces are polished, inside and out. The mainstream explanation for what these boxes are is settled, and it deserves a fair hearing. They are sarcophagi for the Apis bulls. The Apis was a sacred bull, treated as a living manifestation of the god Ptah, and when one died it was mummified and entombed with full honors. Some of the boxes carry hieroglyphs that date the burials and name the kings who paid for them. Tidy, documented, done. But stand in front of the writing and the tidiness wobbles. The inscriptions scratched onto some of these boxes are crude. They are rough, uneven, clearly cut by hand with simple tools. And they sit on the outside of boxes whose interior surfaces are machined to a flatness that would challenge a modern shop. The same culture, the same monument, 2 completely different levels of skill. Almost as if the people who scratched the names were not the people who made the boxes. I am not stating that as fact. I am telling you it is the first thing that does not fit. There is one more detail Mariette left us. When his team tried to shift a single lid, using the equipment available to a 19th century dig, they could barely move it. These are 30-ton slabs, set in place in cramped tunnels, and the men who rediscovered them with ropes and levers could hardly budge one. Which raises the obvious question about the people who set them there in the first place. Working in the dark, with less. The engineer Christopher Dunn went down into those tunnels with measuring tools and reported something that should stop you cold. On the flattest interior surfaces, he measured a deviation as small as 2 ten-thousandths of an inch. That is not a number from a quarry. That is a number from a machine shop drawing. That is a tolerance you specify when you are building something that has to fit something else with no gap at all. Here is where I have to be honest, because a real investigation hands the other side its strongest case, not its weakest. There is a man named Dennis Stocks. In the 1990s, working out of Manchester, he did the one thing most people arguing about this never bothered to do. He tried it. He took a copper tube, wet quartz sand, and a block of granite, and he drilled. And it worked. The trick is that the copper is not the cutter, the sand is the cutter. The hard quartz grit rolls under the soft tube and grinds the granite away, and the copper simply carries it down. He wrote all of it up in a book called Experiments in Egyptian Archaeology. He cut into granite. He lost less than 1 part of copper for every 100 parts of stone he went through. To Stocks, the relief in Rekhmire's tomb is not a riddle. It is an instruction manual. The machine on the wall is the machine that made the cores. And he is not alone in showing it can be done. Years earlier, 2 researchers named Gorelick and Gwinnett ran their own coring experiments with a bow-driven copper drill and quartz sand, and produced cuts in stone the same way. More recently, a Russian craftswoman named Olga Vidovina sat down with nothing but simple hand tools and made a series of stone vessels by hand, including a vase in hard diorite. It can be done. The catch, in her case, is the time. That single diorite vase took her about 2 years. Sit with that number, because it cuts both ways. Stocks measured the same brutal truth in his slots. Limestone, the soft stuff the pyramids are built from, cut roughly 15 times faster than granite under the same drill. Granite does not give. It surrenders grain by grain, slowly, over a span of patience that is hard for a modern mind to hold. He tested the sawing too, not just the drilling, because the granite coffers were cut as well as bored. With a copper blade and wet sand, his team opened a slot in stone about 3 centimeters deep and 95 centimeters long. It took 14 hours. 1 slot. So picture the full chest, the hollowing, the squaring, the polishing of a single 70-ton box, multiplied across 24 of them in the dark by hand. The mainstream answer is not that it was easy. The mainstream answer is that they had endless time and endless labor, and that the numbers, however punishing, do close. That is a serious argument, and I am not going to wave it away. And there is a second blow to the spiral story, so let me land it squarely. When an acoustics engineer named John Reed and a stonemason named Harry Brownlee got their hands on core number 7 and examined it closely, they said Petrie had been carried away. The marks, they argued, are not one continuous spiral cut by a fast-feeding machine. They are separate rings, the ordinary kind you see on cores pulled from any modern quarry in England. No machine signature, just sand, copper, and patience. That should close the case. For most people it does. It did not close it for me, and here is the part that kept me up. Stocks cut a slot. Slowly, he said so himself. To match the depth and the speed Petrie measured, you would need thousands upon thousands of even, heavy rotations. That is believable for a doorway pivot in a workshop above ground. Now carry it down into the Serapeum and stand in front of a 70-ton box, hollowed out, squared, and polished, wedged into a chamber so tight, there is no room to swing a tool. There is barely room to stand beside it, and one box down there was left unfinished, sitting on the floor with no sledge under it, as if the shaping was happening right there in the dark. And then there is the gap that nobody likes to say out loud. We have the reliefs. We have the cores. We have the boxes. What we do not have, anywhere, in any museum on Earth, is a single one of the hard drills that supposedly cut all that granite. Not one bit. The soft copper tubes are gone, which you might expect, since metal gets melted down and reused. But the waste cores, the granite plugs, survived for 4,000 years. The tools that made them vanished without a trace. I am not saying someone hid them. I am saying the official answer to where they went is a shrug. So let me say the quiet part plainly, and let me mark it for exactly what it is. This next part is not proven. It is the question the evidence forces, nothing more. If the weighted hand drill in the relief is the whole story, then the Serapeum should be covered in tool marks that match Stocks, slow hand-cut grooves, a little uneven, clearly made by a man and a stick. Some of it is, but the flattest surfaces, the ones the engineers measure in 10,000ths of an inch, do not read as handmade to the people who put instruments on them. They read as turned. They read as fed at a steady rate. They read like the output of something that holds a tolerance, not the output of a man pushing sand around a hole, which leaves 2 doors, and only 2. Behind the first, the ancient Egyptians did all of this with copper, sand, and a patience so total it is almost beyond imagining, and we simply lost every single tool and every record of the method. Behind the second, the drill in Rekhmire's tomb is a memory, a picture of something older and better, copied onto a wall long after the people who built the original were gone, the way a child draws an airplane without understanding the engine inside it. Not a myth, not a metaphor, a record of a machine. I know which door the textbooks walk through, and I think I know why. The second door breaks the timeline, and the timeline is not allowed to break. The relief is still there, painted on the wall in the hills above Thebes. The core is still under glass in London, ringed with the groove that started the argument. The boxes are still in the dark under Saqqara, 70 tons each, exactly where they were set down. All three are real, all three are catalogued. You can look up every one of them. And after months of going back and forth, I keep landing on the same question, the one the painting almost answers and then quietly refuses to. They showed us the machine, so why can we not find it? And who decided we should stop looking? If you made it this far, you are not here for fairy tales. You are the kind of person who wants the artifact, the catalog number, and the honest gap where the clean answer is supposed to be. Subscribe and stay with me, because there is one more piece of this that I cannot let go of. Next, we are going down into the granite quarry at Aswan, to the unfinished obelisk still lying in the bedrock, a single block close to 1,000 tons, abandoned partway through the cut, with marks on it that the simple story has just as much trouble explaining. That one is waiting on screen now. Come look at it with me.